Cool. Um, Hi everyone. This is Yuvaranjani broadcast. With me, my name is Vinayak Sharma, sometimes Vin. With me, I have Sindhu, Moulya, and Afi. And we're going to talk about food and cooking. So it's quite a broad topic, so we'll cover some specific aspects to it that are personally interesting to us, and we'll see where the discussion goes. So I'll ping pong around and do introductions. So maybe Sindhu, you can go first.
Hi everyone, this is Sindhu. I finished my master's at Adelaide University and I have recently come to Sydney for a vacation or a visit. And yeah, that's all about me. So I'll pass it to Molly.
Thanks, Sindhu. Hi, my name is Moulya, also known as Molly. I'm also visiting Sydney for just to meet friends. I'm based in Melbourne. I work in IT, and I kind of, yes, I do enjoy cooking. Sometimes it's a bit relaxing. If it can get stressful when you have to, rush through work, but there are a lot of tips and tricks for working around it. But in general, cooking can be a lot of fun.
Yeah, awesome. Um, Alfie, do you want to go next?
Hi everyone, I'm Afi. I'm from Jakarta, Indonesia. I was in Sydney actually a couple months ago in May, where I met Finn. And I like cooking. I also like baking as well. It's part of my therapy. Yeah, I think yeah, we'll see what happens in the next hour to talk about this.
Awesome. Um, yeah, and I feel like I haven't talked about what I like cooking. I mainly so I'm also based in Sydney as well, and I mostly do meal prep sort of cooking. So large kind of just do things in batch. Mainly curries and stews. I find they're really easy to make in one pot and they store really well. Um, so yeah, that's for the intros. So I did want to ask a question to everyone. We discussed this a bit earlier, but what did everyone have for lunch, right? So I'll start since it's with me. Um, so today for lunch, I cooked a Thai green curry with tofu. Um, I found the Thai. I use this Thai green curry paste. It's by Mastery, I think the brand name is. It's quite good. It's quite strong. It's very spicy. So it makes a pretty big batch of green curry. So you have to kind of dilute it with some good like coconut cream, um, and I use like firm tofu because it's nice and chewy. It's almost like paneer, but a bit lighter. It's not as heavy as paneer. And with like a mixed veggie bag as well. So that turned out well, and I have plenty left over for dinner in the week. Um, what about you guys? What did you have for lunch?
I think we sort of had a coconut peanut rice.
Mhm.
And along with that, we had vegetable stew. We had plain rice, curd, and then, yeah,
Dal.
dal.
We had dal.
Yeah, and to finish it with, I think Auntie made us two desserts. One with jaggery and then vermicelli, and the other one was with
Sagu.
it's called sagu in Indian. They were pearls. I think they're similar to boba. I'm not sure.
Okay.
I don't know
Mm.
if it's a fair comparison or not. I don't know, but very similar to boba. But in Indian language, we call it as sagu or
Yeah.
sagubium. Yeah.
Yes. So
Are they
it's
like
like
Pearl. Yeah.
right?
Those
Oh,
pearls. Yeah.
yeah.
they're like small. They look like beads, but then when you boil it in water, it becomes it expands. It becomes a little translucent. So it
Yeah.
looks like those boba pearls, but I think they're made of rice.
Yeah. I think I've had that before because I think it's used in several different cultures. I've had it from like a Thai takeaway. They gave me a little
Yeah.
container. Yeah.
I think yes, they definitely would have some mixtures and cultures.
Mm-hmm. No, that sounds really good. Yeah, and obviously, yeah, so Molly and Sindhu were in the same house today, so they had the same lunch. But
Yes, we did.
yeah. Afi, do you wanna go next? What do you have for lunch?
Yeah, I was gonna say about sagu though. It's also part of main carbs in Indonesia, in Maluku,
Right. Yeah.
actually. Maluku Islands or Papua somewhere.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's quite popular here as well. What did I have for lunch? I usually have meal prep, but then for the past 2 days I've been quite busy, so I had a takeaway. I bought like there was this menu called Power Build, um, because I was trying to increase my protein intake every day. It was sold by here we've got this like salad restaurant. It's called Salad Stop. So I had like brown rice and comes I think with chicken without crumbs, and potatoes and some tomato as well, broccoli with some dressing. So it was pretty, I would say maybe colorful lunch. Yeah, so that's pretty much it.
Yeah, sounds pretty good. Pretty well balanced. Um, cool. Let me see. I also wanted to ask everyone like to maybe give a brief story about um what was their experience with cooking growing up and like how they got into doing cooking. So maybe I'll hand it to you guys first and then I'll go at the end. So
Maybe I'll start with this one. My mom has always been a great cook, which means I might not be a great cook because she cooks and I eat.
yeah.
And I'm pretty sure everyone agrees with this. Everyone's cooking journey starts with instant noodles. And mine did too. I started with instant noodles. And then slowly I started going towards preparing Indian curries, Indian stuff. But usually I used to depend on instant noodles a lot. But then again, we soon realize as we are growing old, we soon realize that it's not a staple food that we have to have every day.
Yeah.
So again, like being independent comes with cost. You have to learn these basic life skills, and cooking is a basic life skill. So I started learning Indian cooking with my mom and obviously with the help of a guru YouTube. So that has been my journey with cooking. Yeah, that's it.
That's great. Yeah.
Good one, Sindhu. Yeah, I agree. We all started with instant noodles, Maggi noodles, and back then there was top ramen as well, and that was one of my favorite. I used to make that for myself and my little brother. And but in terms of like serious cooking, I guess I started sometime during my college holidays when I came home for a semester break. My mom was also working full time, so I just thought I'll use that opportunity to learn and cook at home. So I started making all basic meals like rice, sambar, which is a traditional South Indian soup, a lentil soup, which has a lot of spices, vegetables. It could be a bit spicy with chilies and stuff. And rasam. Rasam is also a traditional South Indian kind of a soup, which is very good for digestion. It's got garlic, it's got cumin seeds and pepper, and it's garnished with it's tempered with mustard seeds and curry leaves. So especially in the cold weather, like winter, the current weather here, it's a very good food for both for your cold as well as just in general for digestion anytime.
It has
So
a lot
yeah,
of tomato as well, right? Tomato, so it's like vitamin C rich.
Yeah.
yeah, yes, because it's also like both sambar and rasam, they've got tamarind also in it.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
you're right. And the good thing about using tamarind is it also kind of acts like a natural preservative. So it lasts long. So back in those days, we did not have refrigerators and all that. So adding a bit of tamarind will make sure the food lasts for at least a day or two, if it wasn't too hot.
Yeah. Also, I think we have black peppers as well. We put those black pepper into
Yes.
that, which keeps us warm during winter. So
Yeah.
that's usually preferred for us. Yeah.
Yeah, like whole peppers, right? Like not.
Yes, yes.
Whole peppers, we would crush them.
Mm.
So the spice really gets into the food and then gets into us.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, um, yeah, that sounds really good. I mean, I just ate food, which is probably a good thing because I would be really hungry right now listening to all of this. Afi, do you want to go next? How was your learning to cook journey?
Um, I think I would say, so probably like 20 years ago, my late auntie used to live in our house, and most of the time, she always prepared our cooking. No, sorry, our food on the table. But then she always had this like habit where she didn't allow us to go to the kitchen. And so like I never got to know the recipes until she passed. And then my mom also likes being in the kitchen as well. And so um, by the time when my mom cooks in the kitchen, I think I'm always the one like who likes to ask questions, being curious. And so I always ask about, how to do like something that's pretty simple, how to cook rice. And well, I don't think that I've actually asked about making noodles. I think I'll only follow the instructions, but like something maybe that's more of we've got this like beef stew, Indonesian beef, not beef stew, Indonesian black um black beef soup. We call it rawon in Indonesia. Um, it's the one that's quite complicated to make. It's like overnight making. And I keep asking the same question quite every day during the time when I try to make it with my mom. And then now I feel like um, over the years, I started to learn how to cook more seriously, but like without beef because I became vegan quite about 5 years, almost 5 years at the time. So I try to avoid and had a substitute, a beef substitute and cook more for myself. And yeah, I think it starts from my aunt and then from my mom, and then I kind of like to stay in the kitchen hours and hours and explore more recipes for myself. So yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's quite the journey there. Um, I'm kind of curious I guess like how was that adjustment period when you became vegan? Because it's quite a different type of cooking, right? You'd have to relearn like learn how like the nutrition would work and different recipes. So, do you want to expand on that a bit?
Yeah, I think it started when I watched on Netflix. I watched this documentary on Netflix called What the Health and the Game Changers. And that was the time where I felt like I think I needed to have some food switch at home, because every time when I had beef too much in my body, I felt like, I don't know, I felt like my chest was quite heavy, I
Mhm.
suppose. So I thought I had to give it a try to omit the firstly it was beef and then chicken slowly. And then I didn't know vegan back then. Like I knew it, but then I always say the term as plant-based rather than vegan. And then
Mhm.
yeah, I think it was back in COVID in 2020. I explored plant-based recipes on YouTube and then on the websites and people on Instagram just sort of try to, but I didn't pay much attention to the protein intake because I didn't go to gym back then.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, it was pretty hard because like I was the only one in the family who was vegan. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I think I quite survived it until I got pretty sick at the end of the day and I couldn't, and I thought like I had to switch again a little bit for chicken and eggs at least, but I still don't eat beef until now. So
Yeah, wow.
yeah.
Yeah, it's quite the journey. I mean, yeah, good on you for like trying.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think
I had a really nice experience during the time, yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, no, that's really, really interesting to hear. I had a kind of a similar journey to you, Afi. So I'll start with how I learned cooking, and then I also had my vegan plant-based phase as well. So I'll talk about that. Um, so yeah, growing up, I think after we moved to Australia, because I moved to Australia with my parents when I was 5 years old. Um, like we lived with extended family when we were in India, so it was like quite a different environment. But when moving here, it was just me and my parents. Like I was an only child. Um, so like my dad would go to work, and then my mom would be home, and then I would be home with her. And I was a curious child. I liked to kind of get into everything, see what was happening. So I'd go into the kitchen when she was cooking and see how she's doing it. And then she would get me to help her with cooking, like even just like stirring things in the pot and like when they're sauteing onions, and I'd just be like handling the onions while she's doing other things. Um, so it was good fun. I really enjoyed those times where I got to help my mom with cooking. But it was always together. Like I never cooked independently. It was always just me helping my mom there. Um, it was interesting because we went back to India for a little bit when I was 11 years old, and we went back to stay with extended family. And like I tried to do the same thing, right? I was like, I go help my mom in the kitchen, but my grandmother was there, and my grandmother goes, "It's like, no, you can't. Men aren't meant to be in the kitchen. You have to go." I'm like, "What are you talking about? This is what I always do." And yeah, like. Yeah, I guess I didn't push too far, but I was thinking even at that time, I was like, but men are cooks as well. I used to watch cooking shows all the time, and it was always men. Um, but anyway, good thing was that wasn't for long. We moved back to Australia. Um, and yeah, I guess when I was a teenager, yeah, I started to cook like cup noodles as well as we all start with. That was an easy one to try out. Um, And then when was the main one? I think the main time I started cooking things, I started cooking like oats in the morning. I think microwave oats. I did that. Um, and my main inspiration to start actually cooking was there was this video from a YouTuber called Adam Ragusia. I don't know if you guys have heard of him. Um, he's an American YouTuber. I think he used to teach at a university, but now he's a full-time YouTuber. He made this really, really good video about like how simple cooking is. And like his whole argument was like he'd start off doing this like complicated process of like peeling tomatoes and doing that. He's like, and then he'll just cut off and he'd be like, no, you just put it in a pot and boil it. That's all you have to do. You just put the ingredients, season them, and just boil them in a pot. That's all you have to do, and it will come out delicious. And I was like, this is actually a really good argument. And this was during COVID time, so I didn't have much to do anyway. So I was like, okay, maybe I'll just try this and see how it goes. And I did what he did mostly. I mean, I substituted some ingredients, but it was really good. It was a really delicious tomato veggie soup. And that got me confident in being like, okay, this is actually really easy. Like it doesn't have to be as complicated as many recipes tend to be on cooking shows and things. I can kind of just figure this out myself. Um, so I started making kind of recipes like that. I started kind of experimenting. Even when I was making like 2-minute noodles, I'd like add veggies to them or I'd add lentils to them to get more protein or something like just try things out. Um, same with the like the veggie soup that I had. I would enhance it with like adding lentils. I forget what they're called, but they're like the split yellow lentils, I think they are. I like chana dal.
Chana dal.
Yeah, that's the
Yes.
one. So I'd add like chana dal for the protein, and then I'd like figured out like what vegetables cook quickly, what vegetables um need more time. So you kind of like order the steps based on like how much cooking time the vegetable needs. Um, yeah, adjusting the seasoning, sometimes putting way too much salt and regretting things and sometimes not putting enough and then having to put more. So yeah, just getting used to that. That was a fun time. This was also around the time when I was switching to a more plant-based diet. So yeah, like I learned things about like how agriculture is done and everything, and I wanted to like I was always vegetarian growing up, so then I kind of reduced so stopped having milk products as well. I still had chocolate. I couldn't not have chocolate. Um but yeah, so that was also an adjustment period of like figuring out like okay, I want to get protein. How do I get protein? I need more lentils, I need more beans, I need more chickpeas, that sort of thing. Um so yeah, I was doing that for a bit. Um when I moved out of home, so I moved to Melbourne for 3 years, from 2022 to early 2025. Um, what I did there was I tried HelloFresh. It's like a meal kit service. Um, they provide you all the ingredients, they give you a recipe card to follow, and you do that cooking. So I did that for a few months. Um, and that helped me kind of learn lots of different recipes because all the recipes are different. I got to try them out, and from that, I kind of learned like what type of cooking I liked, what was easy for me, what was less time consuming and tasted good. Um, so I tend to gravitate more towards stews and curries. That's what I found. Um, so then I picked whatever recipes I really liked, and then I kind of started adjusting them to my needs, expanding the portion sizes or like the amount so I make more servings, and then adjust the ingredients, adjust the seasonings, buy things myself from the grocery store instead of relying on HelloFresh service. Um, and yeah, that's pretty much been it. Um, yeah, there's more there, but I feel like I've been talking for a while. So uh, yeah, so that's kind of been my journey, um, getting into cooking. Um,
I've used HelloFresh as well.
mhm,
And there's another called Marley Spoon.
mhm.
Quite a few actually. Nowadays, there's quite a few they're doing this kind of, they pack all the ingredients, they send the recipe card. It does make life easier in the sense that you don't need to think too much about what do I
Yeah,
cook, what are the ingredients, where do I have to go and buy all of them, especially when you're working and you've got a busy life. If you just do a little bit of planning and place your orders, they come, and then you just need to take out, follow the steps, and you have your meal ready.
yeah, yeah. And
I have
definitely exposes you to like different types of cuisines as well, because they have such a big variety of meals.
Yep.
I actually have a question to Vinayak.
Mhm.
Did you find any HelloFresh equivalent in Sydney? Because I don't think there's any in Adelaide, but I want to know if there's any equivalent in Sydney
I think they do have HelloFresh here as well.
as well. Oh, okay.
Yeah, it should be in all major cities,
I
I
think so,
think.
yeah. You really? Oh,
Yeah,
this
it
is the
should.
first time I'm hearing about. Oh my God.
Just have a look
Yeah,
online.
if it's not HelloFresh, there'll be some others because yeah, as Molly said, there's a lot of different companies that do that. Um, yeah, not all of them survive, but there's always some.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. Um, Yeah, I think it's good to get exposure to just try things because yeah, you get exactly the amount of ingredients you need. So you don't need to worry about like buying a whole jar of something and only using like 2 spoons of
Mhm.
it, right?
Yeah. Mm.
Um, it makes that decision quite easy. Um, I did find like I do have a criticism of HelloFresh in terms of I found some of the recipes to be very maybe because I was having the vegan recipes, actually. That might have been a factor, but I found them to be very calorie heavy and not very protein. The protein percentage was kind of low. And also some of the preparation steps were just really messy. Like I have like half like half my pantry of dishes would be dirty by the end of this, and I have to do so much dishwashing at the end, which I found quite frustrating. Um, so I was glad to like take some of the recipes and simplify them and take out some of the steps which I felt were a bit unnecessary. Um, but yeah, that was just my adjustment. Yeah.
Yeah. But I want to ask everyone over here
Mhm.
because I'm starting on taking food which is nutrient rich, like a balanced one, but I'm not able to stick to it. Like at the end of the day, I'm turning towards more carbohydrates. I just want to have suggestions from you guys. Like, how long did it take? Or were you also like getting into carbs again and then coming back to the perfect diet? I want to ask Afi also this one. So how was that process of getting into this balanced diet? Because I started and then I hated because obviously protein is not that good like people say. At the end of the day, when you consume more protein, you feel like you're not consuming food at all. And I go back to switching to carbs. Like all this oats, soaked oats with chia seeds and everything sounds good on paper, but when you start consuming it, you can't do it like up 2 spoons, you're like, I'm done. So I just wanted to
Yeah.
ask you guys, like, what was the journey towards like balanced diet for you guys?
Okay. Yeah. Afi, do you wanna go first?
That's a good question. Well, I love eating so much, especially carbs. But now I think it's a matter of managing the portion, even though and then the mindset as well. So I used to think of like I don't want to mention as a diet, but I want to think of like as in just enjoying the food that I have in front of me. So not like putting the mindset inside of me like thinking, oh, I'm gonna have this diet and like restricting myself to eat less carbs and less protein and less, Um, I think that's the first thing that I put in mind. And then yeah, I think days after that, and also I really like sugar, something that is very sweet. So yeah, when I put that in mind, like not to like to omit the word of diet and like just enjoying the food that I kind of manage, quote unquote, it's starting to feel like I don't really want to have more carbs anymore, even though like I still need it,
Mm.
for daily activity, when you, for example, if you go on a cardio or just daily walks, you might need carbs. You don't have to cut carbs 100%. That's from my side. So, but everybody's different. But for me, like I still need carbs, even though it's not like maybe double portion from what I used to have. But yeah, I think try to manage the portion and like, but also just enjoy the portion that you have as well. So I don't know if it's called like balance, but because everyone's balanced diet is also different.
Yeah.
But I think I would say if you have more protein food rather than carbs, it's what I find in myself, I feel like more fulfilling and more satisfying in my stomach. And so I don't really have to have more food in the next few hours, at least I would say maybe in the next 12 hours, because I'm also having the intermittent fasting. So it helps to have more protein rather than carbs. So yeah, I don't know,
Yeah.
but what about you, Vin?
Yeah, no, I'd agree with that. I think I do find protein heavy and fiber heavy foods and meals tend to last longer in my stomach. I can kind of space out my meals a lot more. Um, yeah, so definitely agree with that. I guess my journey as a whole was quite varied. I tried a lot of different things. Obviously growing up, I mainly had my mom's food, which was like North Indian cuisine mainly, which tends to be quite carb heavy, but we have a lot of lentils as well. Um, but yeah, a lot of carb heavy meals, I think, um, for sure. I did try intermittent fasting. I think this must have been in like 2018 because you hear about it, you research it, you hear about it on YouTube and things, and I was like, okay, let me try it, see how it is. I did not like it. I did not like being hungry. Um, I was doing what was I doing? I was doing like a 6 hour eating window, so skipping breakfast to then eat lunch after 12 and then try to eat dinner before 7, or like 6 p.m., but ideally, but I couldn't do it that early, so 7 p.m. It sucked. Skipping breakfast was horrible for me because I was so used to having breakfast. All I could think about all morning was food and just not being hungry. Um, so that didn't last very long. Um, but yeah, I think um, yeah, it was quite a journey. I think protein was always a priority as I was kind of getting into exercise, not very regularly at that time, but it was important. It did help my recovery and things. Um, but as I kind of started to get my diet together, there was a few main critical things that helped me. Number one was understanding the nutrition of the ingredients I used in my cooking and how much of that I used. So, and that doesn't have to be detailed. It just has to be understanding the ratio between carbohydrates, proteins, and fats in your food, right? Um, and particularly because at that time my diet was mainly plant-based. So the thing with plant-based food is they are always have a lot of carbohydrates, right? So I didn't have to worry about my carbohydrate portion of the meal really, because that would automatically be achieved. What I had to mainly worry about was maximizing that protein proportion and maintaining the fat portion. So not like you need fats, you can't cut out fats completely, otherwise you will die because your brain needs fat to function. But not too much either, because it's quite calorie dense. So that was my main priority. It was like, how do I make sure I have protein in every single meal that I eat? So all three meals, breakfast, lunch, dinner, I need to make sure that it has a significant protein portion because carbs will take care of itself, fats will take care of itself. I need protein. So it's figuring out like, okay, what ingredients actually have protein in them at a significant amount. So not just a few percent, but we're talking like 20%, 50% protein. And being plant-based, you kind of have to rely on meat substitutes. So plant-based sausages, plant-based meat substitutes, um, like protein supplements as well can be helpful. So I'd have like plant-based protein shake in the morning instead of breakfast. And then I'd have a lot of like tofu. I'd have the like plant-based sausages, but then also lentils as well. Lentils are great, particularly beans, chickpeas. But just making sure they make up a significant portion of whatever I'm making, not just like a few sprinkled in. Um, yeah, so that was very important for me. Another factor was also just like making sure the meals are filling. Because back then and even now, like my metabolism was quite fast, so I'd get hungry very quickly. And that was annoying because getting food and making sure it's healthy is a lot of work sometimes. I don't want to do
Yeah.
that. So I had to make sure that whatever I ate had plenty of fiber. Protein also helped. So it would like fill and I would be good for 3 or 4 hours, right? Maybe I'd need to snack. Hopefully not. But yeah, at least I can last that long without needing to be hungry because I hated the feeling of being hungry. So I think those two things together helped me align my diet really well. And that's been my guiding principle um, ever since. In all my meals that I eat is make sure it's filling, make sure it has plenty of protein, and obviously make sure it tastes good because I don't want to punish myself for eating healthy, right? So spices are easy. Spices don't have any calories. I can go nuts. Salt is good too, not too much, but yes, salt is good too. Um, oh, another thing. Okay, one additional thing. So you know how I said I want my meals to be filling, right? Sugar is not helpful for that because sugar does not fill me up, but it adds to my carb budget, right? It's carbohydrates, it doesn't fill me up. So it is very anti my goals, right? It's not helping me at all. So cutting out sugar as much as I could, as much as I like having a sweet treat every now and then, just trying to reduce the amount of sugar. Um, that was really important, just like pushing that way. And I think I've done it for so long now that I've started to not crave sugar anymore. Like it's not something that I still have sweet things that have sweetness in them sometimes, like protein shakes and things, but I don't like sugar now as much as I used to. Yeah. Yeah.
I think I've actually learned a lot from all three of you. The way you're describing the kind of foods you take and the quantity of carbs, the quantity of protein, and how important protein is. I don't think I was that educated. In fact, it was just recently when I started going to the gym.
Mhm.
It was my personal trainer who's been talking about protein and protein and protein, and I was like, "What the hell is this protein?" Um,
Yeah.
and because I felt I'm eating enough, whereas looking back, reflecting on what I'm eating, it's a lot of carbs. And
Mm.
Indian food is I think a lot of even European foods, it's a lot of carbs. It's rice is your
Mhm.
main meal, and then you have little bits of other stuff. So little bit
Yeah.
of vegetable, little bit of dal, little bit of maybe a meat, could be chicken or fish,
Mhm.
because I do eat meat,
Yeah.
or let's say non-vegetarian. So when I started reflecting on that, it's like, yeah, I'm having a lot of carbs and a tiny portion of protein, and maybe vegetables. Vegetables are good for digestion, for the fiber intake, but
Mhm.
it's not actually, it's adding to that carbs, like one of you all said. So um, you end up feeling it burns really fast. It gets into your bloodstream as sugar, and overall it's not very healthy. It makes you feel lethargic after some time, lazy, you want to fall asleep, and then you're feeling hungry again. Whereas proteins, that's what makes you feel fuller. It makes you feel vital as well.
Mm.
um, and I think proteins like fish, if you do have non-vegetarian, I think fish is a very good source of protein, of healthy omega acids, I think it's
Yeah.
called.
Omega 3s. Yeah.
And so it's got a lot of benefits. And I think among all the proteins, compared to red meat, compared to chicken, eggs, and even plant-based protein, I think fish is a very, very rich source of protein. So, and in terms of just inculcating the habit, it's just a bit of practice. Like once you get into the habit, it just becomes so normal for you that you'll feel like I've had enough. I don't need any more carbs, or I don't need any more rice, and definitely I don't need those sugars and sweets.
I think
Yeah.
the extremely difficult part for me is to get into that habit. I'm unable
Mm.
to do that because obviously we are so busy.
Mm,
And as you said, like do preparing a balanced meal like requires lots of hard work. When you're already exhausted from doing things outside and then you come back, you don't
Yeah.
want to invest your time and then thinking into what kind of, and it's just not like one item. You need to prepare different items to meet that balanced nutrition, uh, that you have to intake. You have to prepare multiple items. That's what I thought. I don't know if
Yeah.
that's the case. I haven't started yet, but yeah, sugar is also like it's very difficult for me to cut down on them. I eventually go back to having them and it feels like I'm torturing my body if I'm not giving sugars. Probably, as you guys said, like after I make it into a habit,
mm.
after a bit, I might feel like I don't want sugars.
I guess it's a bit like, uh, like I don't know if anyone is a smoker, but just hearing about smokers, and when they're giving up smoking, they have withdrawal
Yeah.
symptoms. It's a bit like that. So I've had the same experience as you, and it's not just sugars; it's mainly carbs, which is also converts to sugars. But when I'm feeling like it, I just feel like going and grabbing a piece of bread,
Yeah.
or some rice, or something that's carb. uh, but it's a bit of practice, and just say no, 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 and slowly
Yeah.
wean
Yeah.
off it. Maybe have a fruit, or have nuts,
Yeah.
something like that, or bite a carrot, and just slowly kill that craving. And
And the worst part is whenever I want to start a diet, these supermarkets they put some chocolates on
Yeah. Yeah.
on sale.
on sale, and
Yeah.
Cadbury releases some very new flavors of it, which I get immediately attracted to. Like I think recently it released a Biscoff and then a
Yes. Yeah.
caramel flavor. I
That's
just started my diet and then I was like, I give up. I give up. I'm going to grab one of it and then I'm going to have it. And like if and
absolutely.
I get this feeling like obviously we are young, so I thought like if not today, then when?
Yeah.
Obviously, when you're in your 30s and 40s, you have to maintain diet. So,
Yeah.
but then listening to you guys, I have to start my diet soon. I have to.
Yeah, I mean it is a bit of a journey. Like you're gonna have periods where you don't meet the I guess whatever your aims are for your diet. And that's okay, right? Like the main thing is aligning your eating habits in the long term to what you want, right? Um, and yeah, I agree. The specials at the supermarket are super tempting. I saw that Biscoff chocolate as well, but I'm like, I don't know. This doesn't align. I've made the mistake of buying chocolate and then being like, crap, I bought it, now I have to eat it, right?
Yeah.
You don't. You don't need to eat it just because you bought it. You can choose not to. Um,
Now,
but
the
yeah,
thing with this thing, I personally face is that when you start a diet, I'm sort of perfectionist. So
yeah.
up until I break that diet, I'm good. Once I break that diet, I'm like going back. It's again what she's
Mm.
similar to being like a smoker.
Yeah.
Up until that time, when you're perfect with your diet, with your everything, you'll feel good.
Yeah.
But once you break that, you don't want to start it again.
And I think I've heard, I can't remember, but for some practice that I was trying to get into, and then when the habit breaks, I feel so bad. It's like demotivation. I go down. But what I'd say is, it's okay if you missed it. It's okay. Just try to get back on track, because
Mhm.
if you don't, you're again going downwards, and
Yeah.
then the uphill climb will be more difficult. So it's okay if you break it once.
Yeah.
I just say it's okay. I did it once. Tomorrow I'm getting back on my diet.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, yeah. Uh, but yeah, I think the idea of I think Molly, you brought up the idea of eating fruit and nuts and a carrot. I think that's a really good replacement for when you have those sugar cravings or when you're craving snacks, right? You want something small just in between meals. Fruit is really cool. I really like apples for that because apples is just you don't even have to cut it, you just wash it and you can bite into it and it's great. Um, and they last a long time in the fridge as well. That's what I like about them. Um, but yeah, I think those make good little snacks in between. Yeah, nuts are good too. I can't have too much of those, unfortunately, these days, but I used to have a lot, like almonds and cashews and things. Um, and
Thing with these things, I don't know if this is a misinformation. I'm very scared to even eat fruits because there's some videos online that says like fruits also has calories, and then it's I heard like eating grapes
Hmm.
is almost similar to eating Hershey's chocolate. So you eat
uh,
either of them, you're gonna get the same.
Hmm.
Yeah.
yeah, there is that factor. I think so there's an element of truth to that because the fruit that we have nowadays is selected to be a lot sweeter, a lot sweeter than it used to be in the past. Um, because sweet things are nice and people buy sweet things, right? So farmers are encouraged to grow sweeter fruit. But yes, that can also be a problem. But the thing with fruit is you also get a lot of fiber. And because of that fiber that you're eating, you can't have that much fruit if you compare. Like the amount of sugar that you have in, say, an apple and the amount of equivalent. So, say if you had like a glass of Coke, an equivalent amount of apples that have the same amount of sugar, you need to eat a lot of apples to match a glass of Coke, right? Because Coke is it's dissolved sugar in liquid, and it's really easy to just drink it. There's no fiber, nothing, and you've drank like 50 grams of sugar, right? 50 grams of sugar in like apples is like probably two or three apples together. I'm just making these numbers up. I might be wrong here, but it's a lot, right? It's not easy to bite into, and eventually you'll get sick of it. You'll have enough,
Yeah.
and that's the main difference there is eating whole fruits. You're limited just by the amount that you can eat there, as compared to sugary drinks or even juice as well. Juice can be quite a deceptive. You can
Yeah.
drink a lot of juice as compared to eating the equivalent amount of fruit. Yeah.
And also to add to that, when we talk about having fruit, there are certain fruits that are high in sugars, and there are fruits that you can probably choose. So yes, grapes are high in sugars. I think even the regular sweet apples, the red apples, they're high. Mangoes, bananas, they're all high in sugars. So if like I haven't had breakfast, instead I find a banana and I have a banana, I think that's enough to cover your breakfast. But for a snack, I would say things like a green apple or berries. Berries are very rich in antioxidants. So if you have like blueberries or strawberries, those are really good snacks. What else? Um, I think, yeah, we can look it up. There's plenty of fruit options which are not high in sugars that you can choose, especially if you're trying to control the sugars.
Yeah. I'd like to suggest that my personal preference for because you need fruit for the nutrients, right? Is I prefer berries. So I get these like 1 kilogram bag of frozen mixed berries from Woolworths. Um, I find they're good value because it's like $12, but you get a whole kilo of berries, which usually a whole kilo would be like $40 in total. Um, and I find like berries are very concentrated in their nutrients. They got a lot of antioxidants, you got a lot of micronutrients. And they're mostly sour. They're not as sweet, so there's not as much sugar. Um, and yeah, so I find them really good for my morning oats. So when I make my morning oats, when they're almost done, I'll add in the frozen berries and then they'll like melt and like kind of squish, can become like squishy and nice and warm. So I have that every morning. And it's like that's my daily dose of vitamin C complete. I got plenty of antioxidants and micronutrients. I'm good. I don't need to worry about fruit the rest of the day. Um, yeah, I find that quite convenient. Um, okay, I think we're getting nearly to time. One final question I did want to ask you guys, since I talked about my breakfast just now, what are your guys' like preferred breakfast, if I could ask you to share?
I think we have to start this with Afi because we've kept her in
Okay,
silence for a long.
yes, we'll go Alfie first.
Um, what did I have for breakfast? Because I've been doing intermittent fasting, so this would be I would say my 12th day, so almost 2 weeks now.
Right.
Um, My breakfast is pretty much like lunch, but only like a day. So like rice and chicken with eggs and some veggies, as long as it's high protein. But if I'm not on intermittent fasting, I usually start with like two boiled eggs and some avocados, and
Mhm.
sometimes I have a sourdough, like a slice of sourdough,
Yeah,
um,
nice.
and some protein shakes. That kind of fills me up, like not really eating, um, but like eating snacks or anything like that for the next few hours. Um, yeah, I think that would be it. But if I get very bored with them, I really like oats. So oat comes with berries and
Mhm.
bananas and some milk, which I also homemade milk. So I've got this like home milk machine that I can use. I I usually make like soy milk. It comes with the soybeans or like almonds or what else like cashews and walnuts. Um, yeah, because I think not I think sorry. Um, So by the time when I stumble upon that product, I thought that I don't want to buy carton milks anymore because it's got so many sugars and oils at the same time. So I want to kind of like get rid of that. And if I can make home milk at home, then I
Yeah,
can only just have like some water, salt, and the soybeans itself, and like
yeah,
some little bit of vanilla essence, but and that's it. And I can just store it in the fridge for like a few days.
yeah.
So it doesn't have any oils and additional sugars. So it's safer for me. Yeah, I think that would be it.
Yeah, that sounds great. Um, all right.
Mhm. So Honestly, I'm starting on this healthy journey just very recently, and I guess I'm way more older than you guys. My breakfast always used to be like idli or dosa, which
Mhm.
is a traditional South Indian breakfast. It's heavy on carbs. It's just completely rice and dal.
Yeah.
And then you have the side is also some dal. So that used to be my breakfast. But more recently, I've started oats with some berries and a green apple, and I put a bit of nuts in it. I definitely have to have coffee
Mhm.
in the morning. So there's coffee. And sometimes I would have like a piece of toast with avocado. Um, and what else? Sometimes I do go back to my idli and dosa. I just that's my favorite, so can't help it. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. With me, breakfast, I used to skip breakfast for most of the times, but
Mhm.
then I recently got to know the importance of breakfast.
Mhm.
And even though I can't prepare a very good nutritious breakfast, I've recently discovered a breakfast smoothie with bananas, oats, and then you put some maple syrup and overnight oats. And I also add some protein supplements.
Yeah,
Uh,
nice.
I feel that covers my protein, but I don't think so. After listening to you guys, I thought just adding just protein supplements to my smoothie would cover my protein intake, but I don't think so now after.
Maybe because we have 3 meals at least on an average 3 meals. Every meal needs to have some bit of protein.
Oh, okay. I
Yeah.
thought overall, like at the end of the day, if you meet the intake, it should be fine. I didn't know that it has to be distributed over meals.
I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
It it's hard to it's hard to get all of your protein from one meal for sure. I'll say that. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
hard because
So I have that smoothie, and then sometimes I switch to cereals. I know I
Mhm.
shouldn't have because most of them have sugars, added sugars
Oh,
again.
All of
yeah.
them have.
Yeah, but sometimes if when I don't have time to prepare, that's when I just go back to
Okay.
cereals. And
Yeah.
then again, being Indian, you can't escape that idli, especially when you're South Indian, you can't escape
I know that.
idli
Yeah.
and dosa. Sometimes my mom prepares paratha, which is like very heavy carb.
Yes.
And then, but I recently asked her not to do that because I heard somewhere that you're not supposed to have very high carb food in the morning. It's what I heard. I don't know if it's correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess it originated in the back in the days when people wake up and go to the farms to do their farming or some heavy intense labor
Yeah, yeah,
intense work. So it makes sense for them to get up and have parathas. But we, especially you and I working in IT, we go and sit
Yeah.
at a desk.
yeah.
So
That's true.
we'll end up having a big belly
Yeah.
if we continue eating those.
That's true. That's true. But unfortunately, even though the times have changed, usually with Indian families, we don't change our diets.
Hmm.
Like
Yeah, I think
we eat the same idli paratha where people used to go for farms, like you
Yes.
said. They needed that carbohydrates to shed them off.
Yes.
But with us, we don't need that many carbohydrates. We are not going to do any
Yeah.
farm.
yeah. I
Yeah.
think yeah, once people are set in their ways, that's how they eat. But I mean, I guess we're a bit younger, we're in a different country, we can, I guess, yeah, try to change things, right?
Also with
We can always go back to farming
yeah.
We
and
could.
continue eating our parathas.
But I don't think parents seem to appreciate our diet. So when I eat less,
They worry.
yeah, and when I'm actually in shape, they think that you know, I'm reducing weight a lot, but that's actually healthy. To them, seeing us like all like what do you call that?
I
Like
know.
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
know
yeah.
what you're
Different
talking about. So
standards. Yeah, different standards
it's
for sure.
more of a cultural thing that they
Yeah,
say, "Oh my God, you're becoming thinner. Are you not eating well?" But
yeah,
yeah, ultimately we got to take care of our health.
yeah.
Yeah, it's up to us. We're the ones that have to live with the consequences of bad health. So, all right, I think we should wrap it up here because we are about at time. Thank you so much for sharing your experiences with food and all the stories and tips and tricks of how you manage your diet. I think it was really interesting to hear about everyone's inputs. Any final thoughts anyone wants to give before we wrap up?
think it was a very good session, very interesting, and great to know that so much of cross connection in our cultures, like sagu is something that even
Yeah, I was so
Indonesians have.
surprised.
That was really interesting.
Yeah. Afi, do you have any final thoughts?
Yeah, I think same as you guys. I've got to learn more about Indian food culture. Maybe I'll one day if I get to visit to India, maybe I'll explore more foods there.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. For sure. And I think like Indian, like all cuisines are so much more accessible now. You can get the ingredients anywhere. So yeah, it's really up to you to try things out. Okay, thank you so much, Afi, Sindhu, Molly, for your time and for sharing your stories. And thanks everyone for listening.